For centuries, ancient yogis and Buddhist monks have placed great importance on a single concept: observation. To truly observe something, we must focus our attention on it. This means that by directing our attention in the right way, we can bring about the quantum events we desire in our lives. In this episode, I'm going to explain how you can harness your attention to shape the reality you want. Mastering the ability to direct your attention is the most powerful skill you can develop as a co-creator of your life. So let's begin. Let's dive into how our attention shapes the version of reality that comes into being. But to fully grasp this, we first need to understand how energy moves. Whenever you feel stuck in life, whether it's because you're striving for something that seems out of reach, or you're caught in a loop of recurring situations, or even repeatedly attracting the same type of relationships, it's crucial to identify where the energy is getting blocked. Energy is meant to flow, and when it doesn't, it becomes stagnant, leading to repeated experiences. So, what controls the flow of energy? It's our attention. Wherever your attention is directed, energy follows. Our focus and attention determine the path of this energy. What many people don't realize is that our attention can be divided into two main types: polar and non-polar. Polar attention has the ability to both attract and repel different aspects of reality. Consider any problem. If you look at it from another angle, it can become a solution. Polar attention works in this way, drawing certain things towards you while pushing others away. But there's more to it. Beyond polar attention, there's also non-polar attention, which is neutral and has the capacity to dissolve aspects of reality altogether. Now, when we talk about creating quantum events in our lives, what does this mean? Let's imagine two forms of polar attention, positive and negative. When we focus positively on something, the universe doesn't care about whether our attention is positive or negative. It only responds to the content of that attention. As I mentioned in my previous video, if we intensely dislike something, we attract more of it. Conversely, if we love something, we draw more of that into our lives. This is the core of the issue. As human beings, we have been trained throughout our lives to function from a place of fear and survival, as this has become ingrained in our biology. Our primary instinct has always been to survive, and the most effective way to ensure survival is by eliminating or avoiding any perceived threat. This conditioning leads us to operate in a defensive mode, avoiding conflict and risk. This way of thinking has shaped many of us. Due to this conditioning, we continue to encounter more of the things that cause us worry. Consider the news and social media. Why is it that fear is so widely disseminated? This is a method of manipulation and control. Many people are willing to fight to protect something they love, something they are deeply proud of. While this dedication is commendable, it often blinds them to the bigger picture. It's easy to direct someone's actions when they are angry or afraid. Society keeps us trapped in states of fear, anger, and pride, which leads our attention to be focused on actions we may not actually want to take. For many, the same types of relationships and situations recur in their lives because they are clinging to past traumas. Their attention is fixed on avoiding a repeat of previous negative experiences, which ironically causes them to attract the same type of relationships or circumstances. Most people are haunted by a traumatic event and fear that they haven't fully processed it. This is where neutral or non-polar attention becomes crucial, but we'll discuss that more in a bit. For now, it's essential to recognize that our attention can be either positive or negative. Life responds not to whether our attention is positive or negative, but to the specific content we focus on. If we find ourselves at a crossroads, say with a work-related challenge involving a colleague, and we choose to see it positively, believing that it presents an opportunity for growth, we will attract a reality that aligns with that positive outlook. On the other hand, if we approach the same situation negatively, thinking it's a disaster with no solution, we will draw in negative energy that mirrors that perspective. It's crucial to understand that life doesn't distinguish between positive and negative attention. It only reacts to what you're focusing on. If you perceive a situation as a chance to grow, your life will align with a more positive trajectory and more of what you appreciate will manifest. Conversely, if you dwell on the negativity, expecting the worst, that negativity will become your reality. Notice the pattern. When we feel positive, our minds interpret the situation as positive. When we feel negative, our minds see the situation as negative. But how do you know a situation is genuinely bad? Often it's just an assumption based on fear. Fear feeds on itself, creating a cycle where the mind generates thoughts that reinforce that fear. But why does this happen? As humans, we are emotional beings. When we feel something deeply, we feel more alive. This is part of our biological makeup. In moments of fear, we start to think of all the things that could possibly go wrong, and this thinking spiral intensifies the negative focus of our attention. The key issue here is the need for harmony between the heart and the mind. When you feel something negative in your heart, your mind begins producing negative thoughts, which then manifest into your reality, pushing you onto a lifeline where more negative events occur. The game changer, however, is non-polar, neutral attention. When we view a situation neutrally, it simply passes through our lives without leaving a mark. It has no power over us. For example, in an uncomfortable situation, you might just observe and accept it without attaching any positive or negative feelings to it. Life continues as before, and the situation dissolves on its own. Most people resist their past traumas and fears by giving them negative attention. Consider how this plays out. When something painful happens, we tend to avoid it because the feelings are overwhelming and we're unsure how to cope. But by avoiding it, we're actually resisting it. And when you resist something, it persists. You give it strength, and it pushes back against you. We spend our entire lives resisting the things we dislike from our past, and we end up living from that place of unresolved trauma. Consequently, we repeatedly encounter situations that reinforce that trauma. Always remember, there are two sides to every coin. The way you choose to perceive something is entirely up to you. Now that you understand this, let's discuss how to use it to consciously create your reality. The first step is to merge polar and non-polar attention. This is critical, so listen closely. There are 3 key steps to applying this approach, and if you follow them, the energy you once devoted to negative attention will dissolve, leaving you with more energy to invest in creating the positive reality you desire. Let's break down how this works. The first step is acceptance. When we find ourselves in a situation that feels like hitting rock bottom, we need to fully accept that it has happened. Acceptance eliminates resistance. You can't be in a state of resistance and acceptance at the same time. Acceptance neutralizes resistance. Understand this. You're not gathering more energy. You're simply redirecting the energy that's already there, clearing the path. Your goals are eager to manifest, but you might be standing in their way. The key is to step aside and allow them to come to fruition. We start with complete acceptance of the present situation. Whatever challenges or obstacles you're facing right now, or whatever your worst fear is, imagine that it has already happened. Fully embrace it and notice how life continues regardless. You're no longer burdened by that fear. It no longer haunts you. This step is crucial because many people believe that accepting the worst-case scenario will make it more likely to happen. But that's not the case. By accepting the worst-case scenario, you stop feeding it with the energy of resistance. If you continue to resist it, you continue to empower it, making it more probable. However, if you simply accept it and step aside, neutral attention takes over. Acceptance is a form of neutral attention. To create change in any area of our lives, We must begin with total, unconditional acceptance of the present moment. We can't alter the present moment, no matter how much we try, because it's constantly shifting. The moment you try to grasp it, it's already in the past. You can't change the present, but you can choose what you want in the next moment. We often deceive ourselves into thinking that if something doesn't go as planned, we've failed. We get attached to outcomes and identify with them. Imagine the worst-case scenario and accept it fully. This reduces its significance. The second step is to understand how a setback or unfavorable event could actually be a hidden blessing. Any event that happens is neutral by nature. We assign meaning to it, positive, negative, or neutral, based on how we focus our attention. Instead of seeing it as something bad, ask yourself how this situation might be advantageous. How could this be a positive thing in your life? What do I mean by a hidden blessing? Sometimes things happen to protect us from something worse. Perhaps the universe or a higher power is shielding us from a greater harm that could have occurred in that situation. Maybe there's a deeper reason behind it. Have you ever considered that? Just like any other event in your life, perhaps this one is happening for a reason. If you hadn't missed that bus, maybe it would have been involved in an accident, and the universe was protecting you. How can you be sure? It's easier to see this perspective once you've reached a state of acceptance. If the wound is still fresh and something bad has just happened, don't expect yourself to immediately search for hidden blessings. Just focus on accepting the situation as it is and acknowledging that it truly happened. Once you reach a more neutral state, you can begin to explore how this situation might actually work in your favor. The final step is to continually direct your attention towards what you desire. When you're in a state of total acceptance and calm, your attention is free to focus entirely on your desired outcome. Once you master this, you become unstoppable. Nothing can stand in your way. This process determines the life path you take, the quantum events that unfold, and the reality you experience, all based on where you direct your attention. There's a reason why ancient cultures and religions emphasize the importance of attention, of observing and being mindful. By combining non-polar attention with acceptance, we create a powerful tool. We start by accepting that a situation has occurred without labeling it as good or bad. Then we consider the possible hidden blessings. And finally, we shift into a positive mindset when we reach a state of calm. This process is incredibly powerful for creating the reality you desire. As a co-creator of your life, your attention is your most potent tool. When you learn to direct it with intention, you can manifest the life you want. The key message I want to leave you with today is this. If you're feeling down, start by accepting that feeling. Once you've reached a state of calm, then focus on what you truly want. But if you try to ignore, suppress, or deny your feelings, they'll come back to haunt you later. Even if you're using positive affirmations, it could be a form of resistance if you're not acknowledging your true feelings. This three-step process, when practiced consistently, has the power to transform your life. When you learn to accept, redirect, and choose your focus, you release energy that was previously tied up in resistance. You use your attention more effectively to create the reality you want. Remember, acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means recognizing the current reality. It's from this place of acceptance that clarity emerges, and the path to what you desire becomes clear. When you embrace the worst-case scenario, you free up the energy that was once spent fighting against it, and that's when your attention becomes the catalyst for change. You redirect your focus to what you truly want, and the world around you adjusts in response. As co-creators of our lives, we have the power to choose our paths, shape our experiences, and define our destinies. True transformation happens when we focus our attention on what truly matters. Move forward with confidence and purpose because you are the architect of your destiny. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this episode resonated with you, please like and subscribe to our podcast. Share this episode with others so they can also benefit from the message, and feel free to leave a comment below with your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thank you once again for listening, and I look forward to seeing you soon.